modified foods, for short we call it as a GM food, is a hot issue after nearly 20 years on the market. There are tremendous of questions correlated to GM foods. For example, like this, this, and this. These are all the questions of frequently asked questions that I got from WHO website. Before we go deep onto genetically modified foods controversy, let us learn about what is GMF. Genetically modified food is that food that derived from the genetically engineering organism. With the help of biotechnology, we have the ability to exchange the genetic material, the DNA, and to overcome the psychological barrier. The entire process to produce the genetically modified food could take up to 10 years or more from the initial gene selections to commercially productions. First genetically modified foods appeared in the market during 1916. Linnet potatoes is the new form of potatoes that introduced in the market in 1967. But after 2 years, it was removed from the market by United States Department of Agriculture because this potato started to develop toxins known as a solanine, where solanine is basically a chemical which acts as a natural pesticide that protects the plant, and it could be toxic when it gets indigested by animals or even to humans. This incident shows that genetic alterations might show the harmful effects in plants or even in animals. Why GM food is produced? With rapid population growth, ongoing discussions among researchers on the best approach to keep pace with food demand, and one of the strategies is to use genetically modified crops. According to some researchers, genetic engineering products are easier to control and handle compared to the producing from the conventional breeding method, and this is one of the way to solve overpopulated world and hunger problems that happen globally. Let us go deep to the GMF controversy. Genetically modified foods, for short we call it as GMF, has been controversial topic from the beginning. The several controversial debates provoked on genetic engineering since after the cloning of the Dolly the sheep. Some of people scared that in the future genetic engineering would ultimately lead to human cloning, which it is prohibited in some country. And our society is divided into two groups. One of them is support the GMF and one of them is opponent to the GMF. The group of that support the GMF is from a private industry. We have food technologies, distributor, retailer, some scientists that support the GMF. We have a nutritionist and regulatory agency. As for opponent, we have a group from health advocacy group. We have grain importer. We have some farmers that opponent to the GMF, and we have some scientists that not really agree on GMF, and sure environmentalists. We have ethnicity and food advocacy group that opponent the idea of a GMF. The supporter of a GMF believe that genetically modified food is safe because they say that GMF is not different from the conventional agriculture. Through this method of genetically modified, undesirable characteristic also transfer, and they believe that the genetically modified food has the ability to solve the agriculture health issue and show limitless benefits to humans. Opponents believe that there is no similarity between genetic engineering and traditional breeding. As in GMF, it's combined the genes of unrelated species forcefully, and some of critics wanted GMF to completely ban as they are frightened and they have many questions. Two of them is first, should humans have the right to play with nature any reason, and the second question they have is should scientists are certified to clone a different organism. Controversy regarding the GMF occurred in Europe, received strongly opposing by environmental organizations and non-government organization NGOs, and they not accept the GMF product in market due to the health issue by genetically modified foods. And the European government set the regulations and guidelines about the GMF, where they start to labeling and provide the protections toward health and economic interests. Genetically modified foods seems to have a potential advantages, where the process of genetically modified is by cultivating organism with certain desired trait, and generation after generation of farmer was able to breed a selective superior products. One of the potential advantages of GMF is first is regarding the crops. It have a pest resistance, which is important to provide the protections against the insect pests, which in developing country this trait would significantly improve the yield, where the pest damage is rampant and the use of the chemical is decreased. The second potential advantages of GM food is herbicide tolerance, where the tolerance to broad spectrums of weed killers, especially tolerance to the herbicide glyphosate. The glyphosate will break down quickly in the soil, eliminating residue carryover problems and reducing harmful environmental effect. Where most of the plant without tolerance factor will die because of the glyphosate, but not to the herbicide tolerance. Also, the third one is potential advantages of GM food is they have a temperature tolerance, where for example, we have genetically modified soybean or strawberries that are expressing this anti-freeze gene that can protect themselves against the damaging effect at the frost, and thereby this plant will sustain under environmental constraints. The fourth one is the improve of nutrition, where genetically modified foods could have a substantial nutritional that could benefits to the consumers. According to the WHO, World Health Organizations, there are main issue of concerns of GMF to the human health. The first main issue debated is the potential of GMF to provoke the allergic reaction, or we call it as allergenicity. The principles behind the genetically modified is that the transfer of the genes from commonly allergenic organism to non-allergenic organism is discouraged unless it can demonstrate that the protein product of the transferred gene is not allergenic. The protocol for testing the genetically modified foods have been evaluated by Food and Agriculture Organizations of United Nations (FAO) and WHO, and there's no allergy effect has been found relative to genetically modified foods currently on market. The second main issue of GMF to the human health is that gene transfer, where the genes transfer from genetically modified foods to cell of the body, or to the bacteria in the gastrointestinal tract would cause concern if the transferred genetic material harmfully affects human health. According to the WHO, although the probability of transfer is very low, the use of gene transfer technology that does not involve antibiotic resistant genes is very encouraged too. So the main questions are: genetically modified foods safe? It is not possible to make a general statement on the safety of all the genetically modified foods, because the different genetic modified organisms include different genes that inserted different way. This means that individual genetically modified foods and their safety should be assessed on a case-by-case basis. You don't have to worry because genetically modified foods that currently available on the international market has been passed the safety assessment and are not likely to present risk for human health. Genetically modified products give us benefits and harmful effects in two specific areas that include health and environment. Every new technology gives some adverse effects. The same is true about the genetically modified product. Controversy continues to arise regarding their risk on health of humans and threat to biodiversity. Genetically modified foods might be toxic to humans' health, and therefore these foods items be carefully examined before they being used in the food supply to ensure their safety.
Since of study, it can be concluded that eating genetically modified organism plant is no more risky.